Okay friends, welcome back. We've got week 1, day 4 math coming in. I'm going to post this today. Again, trying to get you the videos the day before in case you can't get on. So this will probably post sometime around 4 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. Look for the same thing tomorrow, Thursday for Fridays, and so on. Let's come back to the work at hand. We're looking at order of operations stuff. So since I'm such a nice guy, I figured I'd create this. I'll move that out of the way so you can see it easier. Just a brief recap, right? So order of operations, we do not use PEMDAS. PEMDAS does not exist. It's not helpful. It gets in the way. But those of you who really do like acronyms, we're giving you GEMA, right? All of you guys in my classes are used to GEMA, G-E-M-A. And that's groups, which includes parentheses and brackets. We'll really only see parentheses, okay? These, for the record, are parentheses. But brackets will exist later in your math. Then we move on to exponents, right? So I just gave you 2 squared, which is 4, by the way. 2 times 2, or this base twice. Exponent is the superscript. And then here's where it differs from PEMDAS, really. Multiplication and division occur on the same step, and they move from left to right. So even if you run into division first, moving from left to right in a problem, you would divide before you'd multiply. So multiplication and division happen on the same step from left to right, and it's the same thing with addition and subtraction, but that's after multiplication and division. Again, because division is really just multiplication, but inverted, right? It's the opposite. You're seeing how many groups, how many things can you split into it. Again, with addition and subtraction. So, all that to review. Pause now if you need to write this down or you want to remember that. Okay, so taking a look at this first page, we see some pretty straightforward order of operations. We've got 10 problems here. Please take your time, be careful. If this isn't enough work for you, come over to the room for work, get out a piece of paper. It's the same thing as in class. You'll be fine. Neatness counts here. It will be very helpful. I pulled just the top example just to show you and give you a walkthrough. I think some of you will be very appreciative of this. So, when I remember my order of operations, that's going to live with me, right, this whole time. I see, are there any groups? Yes, in fact, there are. Now, what I notice here is that I actually have multiple operations inside my, my group, right? So, inside the parentheses, I've got addition and subtraction. Now, since those happen on the same step, I'm just going to move left to right. And again, neatness is helpful. I'm adding first, so 8 plus 4 is 12. And then I'm going to rewrite the rest of the problem around it just to make sure I don't mess up. So now I'm going to continue in my parentheses. 12 minus 10 is 2. And now I don't need the parentheses anymore, so I'm not going to write them. Again, if you did, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And now I've got 2 to the 3rd power times 2. 2 to the 3rd power, I left myself plenty of room over here, is actually 2 times 2 times 2. Right? Now, a lot of us know that that's 8, but a good way to show that is by this, 4 by 2, and then that becomes 8. So we're replacing that with 8 times, so I've used groups, used exponents, multiplication and division I didn't actually need as a step, that all happened inside here. And then I multiplied that by 2, and you'd see my answer for this one is 16. Yes, I did just give you an answer one of the problems, but this is also how I expect your work to look, right? That sort of inverted triangle, which will lead you to your answer, and then of course circle your answer. Alright, so that is everything you need to know for order of operations. Once again, there is the order of operations, but I want to take a moment to take a look at this second page. You can see, and it's funny, it's misleading because it's got this kind of like almost like kiddie writing, as some of us would call it in class. It looks like a worksheet we might get in the younger grades, but it's a little trickier than it lets on. So this first one is a very straightforward order of operations problem. You are going to follow the order of operations and write the answer in those boxes. This second one is a little more challenging, and the reason is you have to use a little bit of algebra. So I pulled this one off the page here, and we're going to take a look at it. And the first thing I want to say is that each box is going to be a single digit, right? So if you are looking to put a double-digit number in there, you'd need 2 boxes, right? So think about what that means for this answer. Anyway, if we think algebraically about this, there's certain things I can pull off of this problem to make it a little bit simpler. For example, if I'm looking at this as a balance, remember equations are always balanced, I can subtract 18 from both sides, right? Minus 18. And then you would see that 39 minus 18 is going to be 21, and then I can rewrite the rest of this problem. You can even call these guys x and y, as long as you remember that x and y have to be single digits. That's up to you. You can leave them as box 1 and box 2. Totally cool with that. You know what? Let's do that. We'll leave them as box 1 and box 2. That's more of a rectangle. That's okay. And now divided by 2 equals 21. And you can see this is still balanced. Again, if I use inverse operations, I can multiply by 2. I can multiply by 2. This, of course, is 42. And now I have box times, because that crosses out, times box equals 42. Now you would need to check in that part of your brain where you store your math facts and ask yourself, what two single-digit numbers can be multiplied to make 42? Alright, so each of these problems is going to require some work like that, and believe it or not, they get more complicated. So even though it looks like you have 5, what appear to be in second grade sort of worksheet handwriting, front to back, so you've got 10 problems total, it's going to take you a little bit longer than you might anticipate. And no, I'm not going to give you the answers for that one, but you can utilize my work up to this point and do the rest on your own.